This is John for Johngy's Beat. I'm back on the beat. This time I've got a twofer here. I got Daniel Emery Taylor, and I got James Azrael. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing
Man, it's good to
good,
see
doing
you. Good
good.
to see you guys.
Yeah,
With no conventions, I haven't seen you guys in a while, but
it's been a
um,
minute.
or two. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
the reason why we're talking today is you've got a little news, a project you guys worked very hard on, a project you're very passionate about, and rightly so. It's just a game, a movie that you guys did. Could you tell us first of all? Just tell us what the news is first.
Well, we got distribution, and that's finally coming around to being released from Wild Eye Releasing. We know it's up on Amazon for pre-order right now with an October 13th street date. So that's pretty freaking awesome.
That is very good. We've been waiting for
Uh,
that for. I've been excited about that. I know I've been bugging you about that for a while now. Now, could you, for the viewers out there who aren't familiar with the movie, could you give us a brief synopsis of the movie?
Yeah, it's about this kind of theater cult that kidnaps this young girl, and they're trying to use her to help resurrect an ancient witch. So kind of a supernatural type, culty type witchy movie.
use
Or,
use all those adjectives in
yes,
that.
yes.
You know, when James asked me to watch the movie and to review it at a convention a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, I forget which. You know, it's always tricky when a friend asks you to watch a movie because you never know if the movie is bad. Then what do you do? Um, I do believe in you guys, and I thought it would be good. And I got to tell you, it surpassed my expectations. I thought it was really good. I thought I was really impressed with the young actors and actresses in there. So I wanted to ask you guys about how was it working with such, they're obviously they're young, they're probably a little green, a little inexperienced, but man, they did such a wonderful job with it.
They did. We were really, really fortunate to find just such an amazing group of young actors. I had this pet. I wanted to use, and people warned me against it, but I specifically wanted to use actual young actors instead of doing the Hollywood thing of casting 30-year-olds as high schoolers because that
I,
drives me nuts.
I was supposed to play a 15-year-old.
But it always drives me nuts because you can always tell. So I wanted real teenagers, and the ones that we got, the four girls we got, especially our two leads, were just absolutely phenomenal. Um, Hanako and Lawler is by far uh, ready for Hollywood. I mean,
Yeah.
I've told her before that she's just waiting for the right person to see her because she's so phenomenal. It has such a great mind for the business, so very mature, so very composed, and just put everything she
Knows
has
her
into it.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely does. Absolutely does. Sarah Kaufman, also an amazing young actress. This was actually the first, I believe, the first feature she had worked on, and she just did a great job. Nadine Forbes as well, just phenomenal work, and we were really fortunate. Um, all had great personalities, great set personalities. Um, took it seriously, worked hard, and I think that shows in the final product.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I was so impressed with the young actors and actually everybody in the movie, but it just because I didn't expect that type of performance from such young actor and actresses. Um, Now, I don't want to give away the ending or anything like that, but um, it did leave it open potentially for a sequel. I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I'm very excited because I like the movie and I am hoping there might be something in the works down the line somewhere.
Well, we're trying to get the rights to a Freddy versus Jason versus Skullgirl flick going, but
It's yes, it was purposely left open. So if the demand is there and if the investors show up and if James and I don't keel over first, then a sequel is always a possibility.
yeah,
Now,
yeah. One I very much want.
As do I. How long of a process was this? Like from the start of the process till now? Like how long has it been?
The start of the process till now has been quite some time.
We got the first draft, I think, in 2016, didn't we?
Yeah.
Script.
And then we shot in 2017. We do a 10-day shoot. So the shooting was that's always the funny thing is the actual movie making part is usually the shortest part of making a movie.
Yeah.
And then from there, we had some problems in post-production that kind of prolonged that process. And then, we signed the deal with Wild Eye at the end of last year. And the movie actually was slated to be released earlier, but COVID kind of pushed everything back. But I think an October release date is going to be to our benefit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and especially, and it's sad to see other movies like Halloween Kills being postponed. But right now, we're the slasher for the 2020 October. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, so you filmed the whole thing in 10 days?
We did.
So during that, I'm not familiar with how movie making process goes.
10 very long days.
But once you started filming, did you do any detours along the way, or did you stick strictly to the original plan?
Oh, we stuck to the plan. My philosophy, and I think James is on board with me, is once the train leaves the station, that's it. It's kind of like once it's in motion, you have to roll with the punches, and that, especially being an independent filmmaker, that's one thing. That's the first thing you learn is if you're going to be successful, if you're going to see your projects through to the end, you have to be pretty much prepared for worst case scenario. And we do a good job of that, I think.
We were pretty lucky that there weren't any major mishaps, because that can absolutely throw everything off. Like if somebody had gotten hurt, or we dealt with rain, which is probably the worst, because the theater location had a tin roof. and the AC, was the AC going on too?
Yeah.
So
sound was definitely an issue.
Now, one of the cool parts of the movie, obviously there was plenty of violence, plenty of horror, but I thought the cool part was you didn't go for the schlock, you didn't go for the overkill. It was all, I mean, it was like necessary, a little bit understated even, but how did you come about that? Like, how did you not fall into the trap of just going crazy with it?
Because I have seen so many otherwise great independent horror films that ruin themselves, in my opinion, by doing too much. And I think what happens is a lot of times, when you're dealing with movies at this level, you're dealing with, budget restrictions. You're dealing with maybe you're not using top-notch Hollywood equipment. Maybe you've got lights that you borrowed or whatever. Things like that. And I think people try to overcompensate with, we got the most craziest kills and blood shooting 20 feet out of somebody's neck and all this, but it looks like you're overcompensating. So, James and I had discussions, prior to shooting, that I wanted to leave more to the imagination. And I always go back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, in my opinion, is one of the greatest horror films of all time. I don't think that's a controversial statement.
We have to live on that one,
right? Yeah. But just how little you actually see in Chainsaw versus what you think you saw.
Same with Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to, or even Elm Street. The first Elm Street is not as gratuitous as later films. So I wanted to kind of lean more into that if the story was good, if the acting was good, if we did our job as a production team, then you didn't need all the kind of schlocky, gore and stuff like that. And and for the viewers, there is gore and there is violence, but not to the extreme that we're discussing.
My theory is when you're making it and shooting it, I guess maybe it's not as important these days with cable and everything, but you keep the TV cut in your mind. And if your movie isn't going to make a TV cut, then there's something that's lacking in it.
No, totally. I certainly did not mean to imply that there was not gore.
Oh no.
There's
Yeah,
plenty
yeah.
of it. I just didn't feel like I was getting hit over the head with it. I thought it was extremely natural, extremely flowing. Daniel, I have to ask you. There was an actor in there, that Azrael guy. I heard he was a prima donna on the set.
You have
Was
no
he-
idea.
Oh man, I mean,
You have no idea.
Was it
just
true about the green M&Ms?
a list of demands. The brown M&Ms. I
The
think
Death
he had
Wish coffee.
coffee that's illegal in 7 states. I think he
Well-
ate 3. I think he ate 3 feet of pizza while he was there.
Oh my
Don't we
God.
all? But then, James, I have to ask you. I heard that that Daniel guy was just a tyrant on the set too.
So he was always doing his makeup, constantly just doing his makeup in the mirror, looking at himself. He even had his childhood image pasted to the mirror at certain points. So it was pretty nuts. Yeah.
Is it true he made you get a tattoo of his face?
Well, it's on my butt, and when you
Okay.
but-
Okay. Now
Yeah,
that
I do have to say something with my character. So I made a huge mistake. Daniel let me kind of decide what I wanted to wear, and this was all shot in Alabama. It was the end of March, beginning of April, and I had decided my character would wear like a thermal undershirt with the work shirt over it, and coveralls. But yeah, Alabama at that time of year, along with lights and everything going on, it was pretty brutal wearing
Alabama does not have a spring. We go
Yeah.
straight from summer to a little bit of fall to winter to first summer to second summer. Yes.
Well, as I told James at the last time I saw him, I really enjoyed his role. Now, he was ever humble and he downplayed it. And, I mean, he's not the leading character in the movie, but I thought it was a vital character, and I thought he played it well. And I have nothing but praise for the movie itself.
I mean,
Now that
nobody
the movie-
licks chocolate like I do. I will say that.
Now that the movie's done and it's coming out on Amazon, you guys could sit back. What do you think of it? How much of a sense of pride do you guys get from this? Because I think it's destined to be a cult classic, and I'm not just blowing smoke up you guys because you're buds.
Well, thank you, Johngy, and blow away, because I am absolutely proud of this movie. Like I have no qualms over telling people how proud I am of it. So,
And I am as well. And more than anything, I'm just proud of the hard work that everybody put in it. Our cast and crew, our post-production guys, Daniel Pico and Matthew Fessel, who, did our editing and our sound design, Russ, who did our score. Everybody just really went above and beyond and kind of put everything they had into it. And I think it shows in the final product. It is, I always warn people, it isn't, a low budget independent film, so it's not going to look like the Avengers, but I think for what we have, I think we made the most of what we had, and I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of it.
yeah, the cinematography Bill did with lighting and just the shots that he came up with and made are just incredible too. And the drone use and the underwater cameras, and yeah, it was pretty nuts.
But I think part of the beauty of the movie really is the simplicity. You guys, it's not a huge budget thing where it's CGI and all this stuff. It's like a cult classic. I keep going back to that phrase, but I thoroughly enjoyed the movie.
I guarantee there's no CGI in this. Unless you count the opening credits that Adrian did.
So before we wrap up, guys, why don't you give your just give a little promo, a little sales pitch, whatever you want to say about the movie as we're wrapping up here.
Buy it.
Buy it twice.
Buy it twice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Hey, I recommend it. It's just a game.
The artwork alone on this new one is pretty freaking wild.
Oh, that's one thing I have to. I do want to brag on Wild Eye, our distributor. just how much care they've put into it. The artwork's amazing. I've dealt with distributors in the past that just kind of copied and pasted some Photoshop junk together and all that, but they really have presented it as kind of a top-notch production, and we really appreciate all the work they've put into it.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
Daniel Emery Taylor, James Azrael from It's Just a Game, one of my favorite movies. It's going to be other people's favorite movies as it gets more distribution, as it gets seen by more. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you giving us a little insight into the movie. Once it's released again, I will come back to you guys and get a little update on things.
Awesome.
And we'll see how everything's going, and maybe you guys can give me a little more, some inside scoops on what really went on, during the filming.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Johngy.
Thank
Really.
you for having us.
Thank you very much, guys, and really thank you for the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I recommend it to everybody.
Cool.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.